Hey. All right, I think that we will go ahead and get started here. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, good. Thank you for being here for the June 2010 ECAC meeting. I'm Mark Turner, the chair of the ECAC. Welcome, everyone, to our meetings. We hold these monthly on the third Monday of every month at 7 o'clock right here at Lions Park. And glad to have you here. Can I get a quick show of hands to see who's showing up here for the first time? Okay, good. Got some new people here. That's good. A couple of ground rules or what have you. If you haven't signed in already when you walked in, please make sure you do so that we can get you on our mailing list and let you know about things that are happening in the neighborhood. We have a couple of announcements to make this evening, like we always do. And since our special guest here is the mayor, Mr. Charles Meeker, we're going to do just a little bit of shuffling of our schedule here tonight, make sure that we can get him out of here on time. So thank you for being here, Mr. Mayor. First order of business here for this evening. I wanted to mention a couple of things that are happening in our area, of course. Tomorrow night, there is a transition workshop put on by the City of Raleigh's Planning Department. It's a discussion of how they work zoning around, different types of use. And the Neighborhood Association and CAC's portion of this is June 22nd, which of course is tomorrow, from 4 to 5:30 p.m. But they're also going to have sort of a community transition workshop later on in the evening. I've got this sheet up here, and I'll go ahead and put it on the back table if anybody's interested in attending that. But it should be very informative, and of course something that we're going to be dealing with in the upcoming New Bern Avenue corridor and Capitol Boulevard corridor study plans and development ideas, because we've got this area here that's going to be in transition itself, and of course it's going to affect everybody that's here. So if you can make that workshop, it should be very informative. The other thing I wanted to mention, of course, is the Capitol Boulevard study workshop that's going to be going on Thursday evening over at Bobby Murray Chevrolet. Bobby, what time is that actually going to be happening?
Registration's at 6 o'clock, and the meeting starts 6:30 to 8:30.
Okay, registration 6 o'clock, meeting 6:30 to 8:30, and if you can pre-register, please do, so that the city knows how many people are going to be showing up, so that we can get appropriate number of chairs and things. I guess this is being held in the showroom at Bobby Murray, and not everybody's going to get a chance to sit in a brand new Chevrolet, so they need to know how many chairs to have out there and tables and that sort of thing. So if you could go to the website, the planning website, I think they've got links right there. Okay, any other announcements that anyone wants to mention very quickly before we approve our minutes? Okay. All right, hearing none, we will go ahead. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? We have them posted on our website, of course, and I believe in our newsletter we've got a summary. So if I've got a motion, we'll go ahead and approve those. Okay, we've got a motion right here from Bobby. Yes, Debbie.
I think there's an error in the misprint.
Okay, what do you have?
Number 9, where it said that Raleigh News food line manager, Mr. Ronnie Robinson, is launching an after-school program.
Okay.
Should there be a program up here?
Oh, okay. Okay, so typo. All right, I will make sure that that gets fixed. Thanks for finding that. Our secretary, Sue Sturgis, is out for this meeting, so I will make sure that that gets corrected. Thank you very much. Any other changes? Okay, we have a motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, all right. Minutes passed. Thank you. All right, let's see. We usually have our success reports here. I just mentioned a couple of those upcoming meetings. I consider those successes. Anybody have anything they want to share about good news that's happening in their neighborhood? Anything in particular? Yes, Debbie.
I'm sorry now. Happy belated Father's Day.
Father's Day. Okay, that's a good thing to say. Oh, one thing that did happen recently was the dedication of the new playground at Lions Park, and of course the mayor was here for that, and Councilor West, who's also here with us. Thank you very much for being here this evening. And of course, a lot of the neighbors and volunteers put in a lot of work to help to build that playground, and I can tell you it's a hit right away. Come out there and you see all kinds of kids out there playing pretty much all time. The camp kids really loved it, so it was kind of wonderful. We cut the ribbon there, and less than 5 seconds later, there's this whole swarm of kids, basically, herding. It was like a stampede heading over there. So, very popular thing, and of course, it's a welcome addition to the community. I understand that maybe Christy, you can talk about this too. The Lockwood Park is very much nearing completion. I don't think it's completely done yet, though. So they might have had the same sort of issues we had with this park with the rubberized coating on there, needing a little bit extra time to set. But that should be happening here very soon, too. So we'll also make note of that when it happens. Okay, any other success reports before we move on?
You didn't let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said Happy Father's Day. I thought it was, okay.
That wasn't it.
Oh, okay.
No, you said success.
Yes.
The Bertie and Derby and area around
Mm-hmm.
where we were having such a problem with trash,
Mm-hmm.
it has very much improved.
So the litter problem is reduced on Birdie. Great, fantastic, good news. Yeah, we're working closely with Enloe's PTA to get the kids out there and working on things. And of course, school's out now, so you don't have that kind of generation. So we'll make sure we stay on top of that. And if anybody wants to help organize a litter pickup in that area, I think it would be good. I'm thinking about doing one on Raleigh Boulevard here very soon because I've noticed there's a lot of trash in that area that could use some attention. But of course, it's really hot, so see if I can find a cooler time to get people involved. Okay, with that, I wanted to invite the city inspectors up here. We have the Public Works Department here to talk a little bit about the stormwater project going on at Longview Lake, and we also have the inspections department here to discuss some, well, actually not really discuss things, but take your questions about any kind of housing violations or anything you might happen to see. So first I'll go ahead and invite Danny up here. Thank you for being here. Danny Bowden.
Thank you.
You do have to go to the microphone. We're live on the internet now.
Good evening, everybody. We actually have two Longview projects. One is the Upper Lake that's down below the high school, and then the Stream project there by the high school. And we're also working on a project on the Lower Lake as well, where Albemarle Avenue crosses as well. Most of you probably know that road's closed now. But that's basically two separate projects for us. I'm going to talk about the Upper Longview one real quickly, and then Dan Brubaker is going to talk about the lower one. Where we're at on the Upper Lake project, we have basically completed design on it. We've got the plans. We are very close to being ready to bid the project. We are working with the school system on a final easement with that, and the other main thing we're waiting on is we're trying to get some stimulus money from the federal government. That's kind of the big holdup at this point. We're waiting to hear back from them. Basically, what we will do with that project is we will improve the stream there along the high school, as well as clean out some sediment in the upper end of Longview Lake. We were out here a while back, and that dredging in the upper part has been reduced somewhat due to the permitting agencies like the Corps of Engineers and the Division of Water Quality that won't let us do as much as we wanted to do. But I think we're going to still take out the majority of the sediment in the upper end of the upper lake that runs across Longview Lake Drive. And with that, I can open it to questions for the upper lake, or let Dan go with the lower lake, and then we can do questions for both. If anybody has any questions on the upper.
Good evening. Danny, I think you're taller than I am. I'm Dan Brubaker. I'm the project manager for the Lower Longview Lake Dam Restoration Project. As you know, Albemarle Avenue is closed, and for those who don't know, the reason for the closure was due to some deterioration in the superstructure of the bridge that's the principal spillway right now over the lake. We could have spent about $60,000 was the engineer's estimate to do a temporary repair, but as that bridge structure and spillway is going to be going away when we do the dam project, then we decided that it would be better to save that money and just close Albemarle Avenue. It will be reopened once the dam project is underway and complete, or well, once it's completed. Basically, we've got a preliminary design done for the lower lake. The idea is to contain what we call the 500-year storm. It's a 0.2% annual chance storm within the lake itself. For storms larger than that, the downstream slope of the dam will be designed for overtopping, so that if any storms are larger than that, it would be protected and wouldn't wash away the dam itself. During construction, you can expect some drawdown of the lake. You can expect a lower water elevation. Apparently, it's down a little bit right now with the heat. But at this point, we're not planning to drain the entire lake as part of the project. Preliminary design's done. We're working towards getting the final design done. Right now, we expect, based on some of the other projects we've done, construction will probably take about 8 months. And our schedule is to start sometime during the latter half of 2011, which would put the completion around, we're estimating now, about February of 2012. So at that point, hopefully the project will be done. I've got a summary sheet up at the front. It's also got a little feedback form on there that you can actually, I can show you this. If you have any feedback or comments, you can fill that out. It's got my name and address on the other side. You can just fold it up, staple it, put a stamp on it. It's also got my business card, phone number. If anybody has any questions at all, please feel free. You can give me a call at work. It's got my direct line on there. So if anybody has any questions, either now or later on, you can feel free to ask. But that's where we are. Any questions about either of the projects? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for that update. We appreciate that. It's been a little while since we've heard about it, so it's good to get up to date now. Okay, at this point, this is where we're going to do a little, well, actually, we don't have a little bit of shuffling to do. I'm going to ask Christy Jones, the director here at the Alliance Park Center, to come up and talk a little bit about things that are happening with the Parks Department.
Like you said, I'm Christy Jones. I'm the park director here at Lions Park. She already said I was going to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers from yesterday. We're going to, I passed out the pink agenda, so if you have one, if not, it's some over there at the table also. As you know, right now, Pullen Park is closed, so for the season for renovations. So we're asking everybody, if you're looking to do any amusements or any recreation, to look at your local parks that are available throughout the city. If you want to do the carousel at Chavis is open, and it's open, the operation hours are Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5:30 and Sunday from 1 to 5:30. And also, this is a reminder that there's going to be a public meeting about the Moore Square Master Plan, and that is going to be in July. So if you want to know about any that meeting and you would like to attend and be informed on that plan, please go to the website as listed, www.raleighNC.gov/park plan, and then you can click on the Moore Square Master Plan under current projects. Marsh Creek is another facility with the Parks and Rec that just came aboard, and like Mark mentioned, we had our ribbon cutting last week. Marsh Creek is going to have their playground ribbon cutting this Friday, and it's going to be at 11:30 a.m. So those of you who would like to attend that ribbon cutting that may not have made it out to ours and would like to participate in that, please feel free to join our new facility, Marsh Creek Park, and their playground. They're going to have a grand opening of the facility on July the 14th, and the time is forthcoming. So if you would like to know more information about that, we can also get that to you, and it's going to be on the website. So don't forget to stop by this Friday if you want to do the playground cutting, ribbon cutting over there. 4th of July is around the corner, and I know a lot of you are looking for things to do for your family at low budget, and Parks and Rec the city of Raleigh does an annual 4th of July celebration, which is going to be at the fairgrounds, and it's going to activities will start at 5 p.m. and it will run through 8:30. Fireworks will be at 9:15 p.m. There'll also be other activities for the families to participate in, which will be sports challenges, arts and crafts, Wii games, carnival style games, a big truck display, and our park will be participating in activity with airplane making and kids having a contest with the airplanes they're made. So please come out and join you. Bring your whole family. We're going to have lots of fun. So 4th of July, if you don't have anything to do, low budget, fun for the family, come out to the NC State Fairgrounds. Just a couple of athletic registrations that are ongoing right now. Southgate Community, that facility is having a blacktop basketball league for teenagers, and the season begins on June 23rd, which is this week. So if you're interested in some outside basketball games or someone might want to participate, Southgate is having that. Also, the Adult Summer League is underway that the city helps sponsors Parks and Rec over at St. Augustine's College. So that's Monday through Friday as well if you'd like to participate in that. Just a brief on some programs that we have ongoing over here. We have Taekwondo, which is on Tuesday and Thursday nights, which meets at 6:30 to 7:30. On Friday nights, we have a cardio fitness class that's also taught by a Taekwondo instructor, which has been here for 20 plus years, and a lot of people are enjoying that. So if you want to get into some cardio with kickboxing, please feel free to come out on Friday nights. And our weight room is open every day during our operating hours, and that membership is $12 a month. Coming up in July, our youth registrations is going to be youth football and youth cheerleading, which are both $42 for city residents. And I would just like to reiterate what Mark said and thank everybody who came out to our ribbon cutting last week, the mayor, Councilman West, everybody that helped supported us in the playground bill and the ribbon cutting. And the kids, like he said, our park, our summer camp kids are here every day. We have 85 kids in the building. They go out to the playground all day long, and they really, really love it. And the community has really embraced it. Before we had the ribbon cutting and the project wasn't finished, and the swings were the only thing that basically wasn't up and the mulch wasn't down. The community was coming out, and we had to keep telling people it's not officially open. So everybody loves it, and I'd like to thank everybody for participating. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions of me? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christy, for that report. We appreciate that. And let me just have the city inspectors come up, if you would. Dudley Winslow, Kenny Smith. They don't really have anything to present themselves, but if you've got any questions about any violations you might have seen in the neighborhood, feel free to bring those up for them. And you do have to stand in front of the microphone. That's one of the rules.
How you doing? I'm Kenny Smith. You probably see me in there. I know a couple people in the audience. Pretty much what we do is we address any public nuisance issues, zoning vehicle issues, and minimum housing. We've been in the area. I've been in this area for 2 years now. Mr. Winslow's in the area now addressing all the public nuisance issues. I'm strictly dealing with minimum housing. And Mr. Jones over here, he takes on the other side of Glasscock. He's doing the zoning vehicles, minimum housing, and the public nuisances. So if you have any questions for anyone, anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Did you say you all deal with houses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there has been a problem house in my neighborhood for a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
And to my understanding from another neighbor, they stated that the person that owned the property no longer owns the property. So now this property just sits vacant and, you know, weeds and
Okay,
everything else.
what property is it?
It's 409 Culpeper Lane.
Culpeper Lane. Okay, well, if we'll take a look at it and see what's going on. I don't know if Mr. Winslow's got a public nuisance on it, like,
You familiar with it?
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Wrote it last week. Got 10 days. Usually they have 10 days from the time we initiate the initial violation to the time they correct it. If they don't correct it, then we turn it into abatement, and then the city comes out and does it for them at a cost. That'll be-
Okay. Is
So it
anybody-
will be taken care of.
Does anybody own that property?
Yes, but it has not come back to the new people's owners yet. They have not changed the deed yet.
Okay.
So I can only send it to people that's on the deed,
Mhm.
okay? Even though it may be a bank, if I know it's a bank that owns it, then I can go copy them. But until they change the deeds, I have to send it to the original owner, and it has not happened yet.
Anybody
But we
else?
are taking care of it.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the only question, fences, you're not supposed to have barbed wire?
We really don't do with the zoning issue. There's a different department, the zoning department. With the zoning standpoint, we go from the vehicles. You know, you can't have more than 2 unlicensed vehicles on a property. That's when we come in and we address those issues on those properties.
Because what have you got on the fence issue? I mean, we might be able to refer to somebody
Well,
who handles that.
there's this house on King William, and I was driving past it, and they've got a fence that's made up of all kinds of different fence
Okay.
parts, but on the inside of that fence, they've got another fence, and the top of it's topped with razor wire. And I was wondering, you know, can you do that on your property? Can you put a fence inside the property line that is, you know, got barbed wire on it?
I'll give you the best answer I know of. I have no idea. What we can do, if you'll call us,
We can find out
we'll have
information.
somebody look up for you, sure.
We'll find out.
The police won't know what it is, because in case they jump that fence,
Yeah.
get to that guy, they don't wanna go that way.
Definitely,
That would be
definitely.
bad.
The fence is about that far in.
Yeah, we'll look into it, sure, we'd be glad to.
So, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Do we know where the burned out house on Millbank Avenue?
Millbank,
I think it's 2117 Millbank, something like that.
the 2117 Millbank.
Raleigh North.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. House owns that house. We've had a case on it, and what we had to do is actually rewrite the case because of some, his father and mother had the house together, and we had some letters we sent out that weren't addressed exactly to his mother. So we had to rewrite the case again, and it's gone through the repair order, and was eventually going to be put on the vacant closed. I spoke with Mr. House. He replaced the windows in there. They went and redid the electrical system in there, and we went to go do a rough-in, and the day after we went and did a rough-in, somebody broke into the house and stole all the electrical wires, everything out of the house. So he's keeping it boarded right now, and he's got a year. As long as he keeps it, you know, boarded and secured, he's got a year deadline. As soon as that year deadline comes up, that's when we can, you know, go in. But we've been out there numerous times for public nuisances, and since the house caught on fire, we've been in there, and he's done some repairs. He's reframed some of the walls in there. He's gutted it out. He had some plumbing done in there, but he did not complete the calling and rough in. So from the last I spoke, he's left it at that. He put new windows in and boarded it, and he says he's got a crew that comes out there, every week or so, clean up, cut the grass, clean up litter, that sort of thing. And we've been going over to Raleigh North Apartments now for how many weeks, Terry? About 6 weeks. We've gone into probably roughly 60-some apartments over there now. We had a couple complaints, and we started, going by complaints, and we saw some issues in there we thought that might be prevalent in other apartments. So we pretty much got it with maintenance and the property management, and set up a day every week that we go out there and we go through anywhere from 10 to 8 apartments. We've gone through from the 1500 block all the way to the 1200 block so far, and they have brought all those apartments into compliance. The biggest issues we've had so far is some electrical issues. You have these apartments that are so old, and the tenants, it's going to have some wear and tear, some cosmetic issues, but they've changed management twice so far. They've changed just about every one of the maintenance guys. They've got guys out of South Carolina and Fayetteville and Carthage, and they've got them all, and they just hired a new, the head of maintenance is a new guy, and he's pretty well, he knows what he's doing, and he's on the ball. So we set up a weekly schedule. We're going out there, and eventually, hopefully not too long, we'll go through every one of those apartments. We had a fire recently over here on Burgundy. We had a exhaust fan that burned up, and it did some damage to a ceiling in the upstairs bathroom. So, but eventually we'll get over to the Burgundy side, Millbank side. But we're working our way up this side of Raleigh, or off of Raleigh Boulevard now. We're out of the 1200 block, and what's the street? I can't remember. Cantwell Court. We'll be out there Wednesday doing another 10 units. And that's an ongoing project as well. So we're trying to get everybody, make sure there's no life safety issues out there. So, is there any other questions? Okay.
What's the status about the one on Barksdale down from Timber? I don't know the house number.
Oh, 515 Barksdale?
Probably.
Yeah, we had a time with that because the person that owned it lived in Michigan, and it changed ownerships, and it actually had an ordinance on it. Tony Gupton's taken over that, and they've. You did electrical.
Plumbing inspection the other day on it.
Yeah.
I
So.
just saw,
Electrical and plumbing
noticed
fast.
that the basement door was wide open.
Yeah.
After hours, so to speak, and there wasn't
They're
construction.
working on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They've had a rough end electrical and plumbing inspection, and they perhaps trying to schedule a mechanical inspection for this week or next. That's what they're trying to do.
There's another property on 2442 Kennington. It's right there on the corner. It caught on fire well over a year ago. We've had a case on it. Actually, we had a public nuisance case that we abated. Pretty much everything in that house was left as it was in the fire. So it took us 3 days to abate that property. We actually advertised it because the gentleman that lived there, we didn't know about where he was at or what, or they were stories that he went to some kind of rehabilitation center. So long story short, we've got a repair order over that, and it's going to ordinance, and I think it's going to be heard in front of council, the next council meeting in July. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, I mean, he's had some issues with the company that took over. They were kind of like a recovery company for insurance, and I'm not sure exactly what went wrong, but from last I spoke, his sister's got the power of attorney, and they plan on having the house demolished. So, and that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we're following through it. Yes, sir.
There's a house near the corner of Colleton and Pelham.
Uh-huh.
I think the person that lived there died, and it seems to be abandoned. I saw it, y'all had put a notice out on the front of it. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it 706? Okay, yeah. Yeah, we actually obtained a warrant last week and went inside there. It's going to be advertised. We're prepping the advertisement for that one right now.
And that means you don't know who owns it or what?
Well, we do. We found the ownership of it, and it's kind of funny because there's no death records, and both the owners, their birthdays were 1912. So, there's no heirs. The property's paid for, so we're actually setting up an advertisement for it right now. So, and as we've seen now, it's probably going to be over 50%. I mean, that was in pretty bad shape, real bad shape. So, any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Okay, we actually are going to hear from our police officers here. Captain Andy Lull is the new commander of the Southeast District. He's going to come up here and say hello, say a few words, and then we'll have our quick report from Officer Crisco.
Good evening. I think I have finally arrived. I can now go home and tell my son that I have made it in life. On the agenda, I show up before the mayor. I can go home and tell my son that I have now arrived. He will probably then tell me I'm just the warm-up act. I would like to say, as far as the community center, the playground that was built, I also want to give some credit to Officer Crisco and our community officers that were there to help build it that day. They actually helped with all the mulch and all the physical labor that went in as well. So, I am Andy Lull. I'm the new district commander here in the Southeast District. I've been with the Raleigh Police Department for 23 years, a long time. In fact, Mr. Jones, who was standing over here just a few moments ago, was one of the dispatchers many, many years ago, and he would tell you that he knew me back in the days when a little bit of razor wire, no problem, would have gone right over the razor wire. Now I have a little more age, a little more discretion, and I'll let Officer Crisco go over to the razor wire, and then he and I will talk about it the next morning. I have been around quite a long time, and as soon as I got this particular position, I got a message to go meet with Dr. West, because it was important that Dr. West meet me and give me his approval, his thumbs up or thumbs down. That's what I was told, that you need to go meet with him, and it's either yes or no, and if you come out of there with a no, it's going to be a long time. And he's sitting out there giving me a thumbs up. Dr. West and I had a very good meeting. One thing that you will see about me is after 23 years, I'm still very passionate about the work that I do. I still believe very sincerely in the work that a police officer does, that whole serve and protect, that knight in shining armor and all of that good stuff I still believe in after all these years, and I'm challenging these officers these days that to keep up with me. I still believe it and to keep up with me. So my guess is, unless Dr. West has me moved out of here, I will probably be here as your captain for the next 4 years. And so we'll have an opportunity to work together quite a bit over the next 4 years. So I don't want to take up any more time. I know Officer Crisco has some information for you, particularly some good information about the Raleigh North area that he wants to share. My email, my phone numbers, all that is on the website. Is that right? So please, if you have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to holler. And it's nice to see some familiar faces in the crowd. So, any questions for me before I turn it over to Officer Crisco? Okie doke. Thank you. And happy Father's Day to me as well, right? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. As for all you first-timers, I'm Officer Criscoviak, a.k.a. Officer Crisco. It's a lot easier to say. I'm going to yield most of my time to the mayor today, so I've handed out these sheets. If you have anything on here that kind of is a red flag and you want to ask some questions about it, right now will be the time to ask questions about any incident, anything like that. If not, I'll go right into the trends, right into some successes, and into the Raleigh North area and stuff like that. None? All right. We'll go right into our motor vehicles, which I hit on every week. I think we had 12 larcenies for motor vehicles. Out of those 12, 10 of them were items in plain view. Again, just lock, take, and hide. If you need to keep it in your car, keep it in your trunk. Because, like the captain will tell you, he's been here 20-some-odd years, and he's never took a larceny from a vehicle where somebody broke into the trunk. It's always into the front or in the back seat, because you can see it. They're crimes of opportunity. If you look at our aggravated assaults, I know that we have 9 assaults. 5 of those assaults were the victim and the suspect either knew each other or was a domestic partner. One of them was gang-related, and the last one was a random one. That was the one on 2120 Pole Road, and the suspect was apprehended and taken to jail on that one. Now, on the last sheet that you have, it's a little small one. It's getting the comparative crime stats from 2008 to 2009, and then from 2009 to now, which is basically the year before I took over, and then the year since I've taken over. And not saying it's all me, it's the partnership between the police and the community, because specifically, an incident like what happened at 1427 North Raleigh Boulevard, a citizen called in when they saw somebody breaking into a car. Officers were right near the area, took them to jail. Those are things that we like to hear when you guys are getting more proactive in your neighborhoods and saying, hey, I don't, that looks kind of hanky, let me call that in. Whereas a year ago, you probably wouldn't have called it in because you fear of retaliation. Now, you're calling all these things in. I got a ton of people that are trespass pictures. I don't know what to do with them. And a lot of times, these people are walking through the neighborhood, nobody knows who they are. We get out there and we identify them. I think there was one not too long ago that somebody called in, and I was right around the corner. Went, stopped him, realized, I got his name, did what we call a field interview report, documented everything he had on him, which was kind of odd at the time. He didn't have any warrants, but this individual lived in the area, was working in the area, and saw him walking through and just called me. 3 officers showed up in less than 5 minutes. We got him identified, sent him on his way. So those are the things that I like to hear, and the officers are telling me, hey, you guys are calling in over there on 411 is what the beat that most of y'all live in. So that's good for me and for you guys because it brings our crime stats down. If you look, overall, our Part 1 crimes have gone down 14% in the last year compared to the year before. 2008, 2009, we had 6 murders. We have 0 so far this year. Knock on wood. As you could tell, when I did the aggravated assaults, most of them were domestic related, right? That's why we see an increase here of 51% in aggravated assaults. If you look at the trends, every week that I come in here and tell you a lot of them are domestic related, they're still considered assaults. And there's a lot more. We can say it's due to the heat, it's due to the Super Bowl or the, financial times, but most of our assaults are now coming in as domestic related assaults or friends of friends or gangs. But we've happened to eliminate a lot of the gang problem at Raleigh North, which I'll speak about here in just one second. Our robberies went down 39%. Even though we have a lot of motor vehicle, larceny for motor vehicles, it's still down 15% overall from the last year. Does anybody have any questions about those stats at all? No? Okay. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. That's because of the assaults. The assaults went up 51%, and that.
So it's just the assaults, not.
Yes, if you look in there, it was everything went down except for the assaults. The assaults went up by half. So the murders were down 100%. The rapes were even. The robberies went down by 39%. That's because we got rid of Messiah Fashions and all those gangbangers used to hang out around there. If you've been there, I know Ann just told me she went up there not too long ago, and it was a ghost town. Nobody's out anymore. So any other questions? Yes, sir.
Not regarding this, but
okay.
Community-wide, are there any other speeding actions?
Yes, I'm going to go over that right now. We had a plethora of emails about speeding, and Mark was nice enough to go ahead and send me one email with a bunch of streets on there. So I went ahead on my time and took all these streets that I saw out there that were on emails, and I did hour and a half, 45 minutes here, hour there of speeding. And for the first day, I didn't write any tickets. I just sat there and I ran the speed, and I took down license plate numbers and I ran the license plates. What I found was that most of the speeding that was occurring, not the high speeds, but the kind of the average, like if it's a 25, they're going 28 to 29. Those are the vehicles that live kind of in a surrounding area. And the street that I did on was Bennett, and it's really hard because when you're coming around that curve, it looks like you're going faster than you're not. Some people speed up, some people slow down. So what I did is I decided to spread it out. Most of the speeding that I found that were 15 miles an hour or 13 miles an hour over, those are people cutting through. And those are the ones that I pulled over. I wrote citations. I gave them careless and reckless driving, stuff like that. Because a certain speed over the speed limit, you can hit them with tickets like that. We do that so that they'll know, oh, I'm not going through there anymore. They ain't playing around. This way, and then we'll deal with the slower speeds from then on down because we're more worried about, I think there was a puppy that recently got hit on one of the streets. I can imagine if that's a kid, especially if you're driving by Raleigh North. We all know that there's kids all over the place there, and especially going to and from the park on Bennett Street, there's kids now with the new park. So I'll be out there sporadically, different areas, all times of the day. I would have ran more radar Friday night, but I got a flat tire and had to change it, so it cut me short. But other than that, the average speed on Bennett Street was about 28 miles an hour. I mean, not like all the speeds combined, divide, whatever. Most cars that were going through there were going 28 miles an hour. Then there was 2 cars that I actually wrote tickets to. One was doing 35, and the other one was doing 48. So they both got tickets. Let's see, Lord Ashley. There was 18 vehicles that in the 30 minutes that I sat there. 18 vehicles went through. At the average was about 30 miles an hour. What else? Lord Berkeley, 25 mile an hour zone. There was 2 vehicles that came through, and I think it was 40 minutes that I sat there, and they both were going 25. And the 800 block of King Charles, it was very high traffic. I stopped counting at 27, and I was there for an hour. It was 28 to 35 was about the average they were going right there. And the speed limit's 35 miles an hour. And there was that area where you come around the curve right before Glasscock, and again, it's the road there that people, it looks like they're going a lot faster. So if anybody has any questions about that, go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, please don't forget Glasscock Street.
Yes.
People cut from Raleigh Boulevard to Brookside and turn right towards Capitol. That's a really bad area for speeding.
Okay, I will hit that sometime in the next week or 2. I'm not going to tell you exactly when, but I'll hit it. Yes, ma'am. I will.
And I did have a question about the 114 Long Lake Drive break-in.
I didn't break it. 114, you said Longview Lake? Okay. That break-in was due to an open window. Obviously, somebody was casing the area or by, but there was an open window. They took advantage of the open window, went straight through. Yes, ma'am. Speeding? Yep. Okay, and real quick, if nobody has any more questions, by the end of this, yes, sir.
Well, you mentioned Glasscock, Madison and Glasscock, the boarding house.
Okay.
There's a prostitute working at it.
Yes, I went by there last night or Friday night, so and I made it abundantly clear that I'll be by there again, and I spoke to them.
10, 11 o'clock. You should stand by the bus stop.
10 in the morning or the afternoon or in the evening? Okay.
Caucasian woman with brownish reddish hair.
Yes, she used to hang out at the bus stop near Lions Park.
She'll also walk the street late at night.
Okay. I actually have told the officers about that, and they've been making trips.
Get rid of her. Can we put pressure on the owner?
Well, what I can do,
It's my rear to come home from work to see a prostitute.
yes, and what I can do is look and see if the house that she lives in has any violations. Like, say there's a lot of calls for service, but they pertain to her in general.
Being recorded. That's the question.
No, well, every time a call comes in, if it comes into dispatch and they dispatch it, then it's recorded.
Non-emergency or emergency?
Yes. All the calls will come in. If it's not emergency and they feel that an officer needs to come out or a report is written, it's going to be in a call for service.
Emergency numbers, not tie up 911.
If she's out there walking,
Yeah.
call 911. We'll get out there. But I'm actually going to get up with a drugs and vice, and next time they do a prostitution sting.
Night she was working.
Okay, I'll drive by there tonight on my way back.
Car, so she gets home the next bus.
I will definitely drive by there on my way back. I will get up with Sergeant Core and the drugs and vice, and the next time we do the buy bus, because they do one a week, we'll put that area on there. And as soon as I find out or we do catch her, I will let you know via email. Yes, I saw that officer, Sean Thompson, was another community police officer, arrested her. And him and I have been talking about it, and then we're going to take that to drugs and vice. Right now, until she really does anything
She's smart. I'll give her credit.
smart or lucky. But, because it's not a big area for prostitution. Most of our prostitution comes down on Bragg Street, Idlewild Avenue, and stuff like that. So when I get something like this, it's good that you're calling it in, because otherwise officers won't patrol that area for prostitution because it's not a big problem. Absolutely not. No. If you feel you're being a nuisance, you can call my phone. You can email me, and I'll get on it. I have cards up there. My name and information is on the sheet. Yes, ma'am. Yes, because I got the email about that. So I use that when people say, well, why are you running radar out here? So, well, just recently a dog was killed in the road, and that's somebody's family member right there. So, and it helps out. So, if there's no more questions about speeding, if you want me to add your street on, come see me afterwards. I'm gonna go real quick into the community office. We have it. I got keys in hand. We are just waiting on I actually got an email from Henry Ward today. They're waiting on the medical equipment people to come in and take the medical equipment out. The captain and I have gone through there. We've, finagled some things and how we want it to be, and we're looking. It's going to be open prior to the community day, but on the community day, which is going to be Saturday, August 14th, I believe it is going to be the official grand opening. And we'll have all that there. You guys come in, walk around, take some cards and stuff like that. And on that note, if anybody's interested in volunteering for the community event, or if you want anything, that Mark and I believe we're having a meeting Wednesday morning at 9. We'll get you some more information. So get to Mark, tell him you're interested in volunteering. Maybe you want to run a popcorn machine or a snow cone machine. Maybe you just want to come out and help clean up trash, or we're going to try and get some water donated to put specific water points through different areas. So if you're willing to volunteer, just let Mark know. If you know anybody from any of the colleges, Wake Tech, NC State, St. Aug's, anything like that, and they want to come out, let us know. I've already contacted most of them, but if you have an in more than I do, please let me know. And if you know any outreach programs, right now I only have one, which is the former officer Johnny Darden, with Standing in the Gap, which is a family and youth related one that's going to come. Other than that, if you know any other outreach programs or anything, just send me an email. We can get in contact with them or see me after this. Any more questions?
All right, if you have any other individual concerns for Officer Crisco, you can meet with him outside the room here and let him know. He'll be happy to take down the concerns.
Thank you.
All right, and just real quick, Officer Crisco mentioned the Community Day. There's a festival that Officer Crisco is helping organize for the neighborhood that's going to be held in the Lions Park shopping center there, Raleigh Boulevard in Glasscock. And various community institutions are helping out with this. And if you're interested in volunteering yourself, like Officer Crisco said, just let me know. And that's supposed to be, I think, Saturday, August 14th. And we're going to be having a little meeting on Wednesday to get some more details organized about that. So just come talk to me or send me an email if you're interested in helping out. And with that, let's go ahead and welcome our special guest, Mayor Charles Meeker, who's going to be talking about East Raleigh and taking your questions. So please welcome me.
Mark, thanks for introducing me and for having me tonight, and thanks for all of you showing up. I can see how hard you're working with the city staff between stormwater, parks, the police, and everyone else. So thanks for all your hard work. And that's really how neighborhoods change, is people get involved, get others involved, and pretty soon it's a much, much better place. Let me also thank our Mayor Pro Tem, James West, for being here. James and I were at a somewhat lengthy budget session. We have a couple of colleagues who like to ask questions and talk. We weren't accomplishing much, which may be good. We were not spending your money. We weren't doing anything. But anyway, maybe next week we'll get a budget passed. What I'd like to do before taking questions is to say a few words about the planning process for Capitol Boulevard, which is in the northwest part of the East CAC. This planning process is going to start on Thursday evening, as was mentioned, over at Bobby Murray Chevrolet. This is much more than sort of a beautification or change in the appearance of Capitol Boulevard. It really is an effort to look at the area, not just immediately adjacent to Capitol Boulevard, but around it, to see what might change to really improve the area. The area being studied is between P Street and the Beltline, so it's almost 3 miles. And what is being looked at isn't just what it looks like from driving along Capitol Boulevard, but are the land uses along the sides, whether it should be more office, apartment, or mixed use, some retail with office or apartment upstairs, whether the highway should remain sort of a limited access highway, or whether it should become more like a thoroughfare with cross streets coming across and more stop signs and more, more of a much slower feel to it, more pedestrian scale to it. The recent comprehensive plan, as you may know, that was adopted for the city, actually shows the downtown area moving north up to the Beltline along the Capitol Boulevard. Won't come into neighborhoods like this, but along the commercial areas there that need to be redeveloped. Now, the development there is not going to be as intense as downtown, but it really can redevelop and change a good deal from what it is now. An area that was developed back in the 50s and 60s and 70s that really needs to be redeveloped. So the planning process starts Thursday night. It really is an open process in the sense that the planners will tell you something about the scope of the project and some of the ideas being considered, but they really want to hear from you as to what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what you'd like to see changed in the area, and get some ideas as to how the plan would get going. There undoubtedly at some point, once there is a final plan, there'll need to be some public improvements, particularly on the street side. But much of what's being looked at is to make the area attractive for private investment, whether it be some additional housing, additional office, or additional retail. One thing that is going to happen over time is where the sanitation vehicles are and the street maintenance facilities are just off P Street. The city has acquired land at 3 sites actually outside the downtown area, one northeast, one northwest, and one more central, where those facilities will move over the next 3 to 5 years. We don't have the funding to build those new facilities now, but as the economy turns around, the council is going to try to go ahead and move those facilities out, and that property is about 18 acres, will become available for sale to a private entity and redevelopment. So that's you can see that at the south end as being something that may be changing over time. And of course, there are a lot of other properties along the corridor that need redevelopment as well. So I would encourage those of you who are interested to please be involved with that process. There will be a number of meetings over the next months. It's not just a one-night thing. It's going to take 4, 6, maybe 7 or 8 months to get that done. But at some point, there'll be a plan. I'm sure you'll have it presented here before it gets to us. They'll have public hearings about it, and then the council will adopt the plan and start seeing what it can do to implement it. So I'd encourage all of you to be involved with that. You know, it's one thing, there is this economic downturn, and what we're trying to do is use it as a time to plan for the future. There's not a lot of money for new projects right now, but if you look back at what we did back in 2001 and 2002, the last time we had a downturn, not as bad as this, but after 9/11, we did planning for a number of things, including the reopening Fayetteville Street, the convention center, a new parks issue, a bond issue for greenways, and the like. And what happened was when the economy turned around about a year and a half later, in the summer of 2003, we were able to start funding some of those plans. And if you look back to that time period of 2001 and 2, it was actually a very important time for our cities when we sort of caught our breath and said, okay, we can't do things right now, but now we can plan. And then as things turned around a year or two later, we really got rolling. We had a lot of good things done. Some of those projects are finished, like Fayetteville Street. Others are underway, like the Greenway along the Neuse River. The first section of that is being done. Within 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to get on a bike at the Falls Lake Dam and ride down to Johnson County. 28 miles along the Neuse River. Never really been open to the public before except by kayak. But that was one of those ideas that got being talked about, got funded in the park bond issue, and now we're in a position to go ahead and get it constructed. And of course, we are getting a little stimulus money now. We're trying to get some money from that as well. But anyway, it's a good time to plan. I encourage you to be involved, and hopefully that process will come to a good conclusion. And then as the economy turns around, we can start implementing that plan. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and hold off on any further sort of remarks of my own and try to hear your questions and comments about what the city's up to in general, or particularly this part of the city. Yeah.
With the changes of the Wake County School Board and things coming up, what is the city of Raleigh doing to make sure that schools are still a good place?
Well, we're very, very concerned about what's going on in the school board. My wife is on the school board, so let me just disclose that. What it looks like is happening is we have people who are not from the area, don't share our values, who are majority on the school board, who are taking steps to have schools that have majority well-to-do people in one set of schools and not as well-to-do people and minorities in another set of schools. And it is very, very concerning. We are looking at a couple of things. One, quite frankly, is political. This is a political problem, and that is the county commissioners who fund the school board in part really ought to step in and get control of the situation. The current board has not done that, and there are elections this November. Since it's a CAC, I'm not going to go beyond that, but the right county commissioners could take control of the situation right now and tell them, you're not going to do this, we're not going to fund you if you try to do that, and get control of it. The second thing is we need to get some really good analysis of whatever their new plan is when it comes out in October and November as to what it does. Is it an okay plan, or is it one that leaves some of our neighborhoods behind and really puts us in a bad situation? So we're talking about, and we don't have anything formally out there, but getting a panel of education and legal experts together to be ready when that plan comes out to say, okay, is this a plan that meets the constitutional standards of our state in terms of providing equal education to everybody and a sound basic education? If it does, fine. Then we'll leave it alone. If, however, that plan does not do that and take steps to resegregate our schools, then you're likely to see some kind of legal action by a substantial entity taking on this crowd. But ultimately, it's a political problem. The county commissioners can deal with it, but we've got to have different members on the school board because the current situation is just very, very unsatisfactory. Now, I've expressed my personal opinion. The city council, though, by a unanimous vote, did pass a resolution expressing concern to which we got no response from this board. They didn't feel they had to respond to us. So that's that's where they are. You have, a city of 45% of the students expressing concern about what they're doing. They don't even bother to send a letter back. So that's where we are. It's a bad situation, and I think we are going to be involved, even though the schools aren't really our business. It's something we need to really pay attention to. Yeah.
Relating to planning, I was wondering if you could address two things. One being the corridor along New Bern from Tarboro, basically to Raleigh Boulevard, if there are plans to revamp that. And second of all, I guess I just want to express one of the things I would most like to see in the city that I haven't seen yet is more parks for nature's sake rather than, sports and stuff like this park, but more like Fred Fletcher. Are there any plans to designate, since there's some available space and whatnot downtown, more in the south central area, blocks to do that?
That's a good point. Let me address the parks first, and I'll come back to New Bern Avenue. In terms of parks, until about 5 years ago, pretty much all of Raleigh's parks were active parks. Had tennis courts, ball fields, swimming pools, whatever. But there's been a real movement to have more of sort of conservation parks. We've had, of course, some conservation along the greenway easements, but not so much in the parks. The new parks that are focusing on conservation are the Horseshoe Farm Park, which is pretty far away in the northeast, and also the Annie Louise Wilkerson MD Park up there directly north. There hasn't been so much discussion about having nature preserves here in town, sort of the inactive parks, but that may be something we need to think about. It's very hard now to acquire property, but you can sort of put some of your existing property to better use by putting in paths or making certain areas more natural. But certainly what you're describing is there's a lot more interest now in parks that are, in effect, passive recreation, where you have paths or where you can go sit and read a book, as opposed to something that has ball fields. And really you need both. I mean, the younger kids need more active recreation, but sort of the whole community needs that. So I think that's something to be talking about. There's not a plan that I'm aware of for any big passive park in this area, but there might be ways to make parts of this park or other parks that exist more accessible and more used in that way. Of course, we are talking about the Dix Hill Park. If we ever got that going, that would have very large areas that were passive. Probably 3/4 of that would be a passive park. In terms of the New Bern corridor, I'm not aware of any schedule for that to be replanted. There's talk about that. The one thing is out there is there's been a application for a federal stimulus grant to really enhance the bus service along the New Bern corridor. That's one of the two busiest bus routes, and to get routes down to every 10 or 15 minutes and have the amenities improved along that corridor. We won't know about that probably till mid-February. It's a $10 to $15 million grant. It's a very substantial grant, but that's what's being looked at first. Once the Capitol Boulevard is done, we will come back at some point to New Bern, but I'm not aware of any schedule about the actual planning on that at this point. Yeah.
Just on the New Bern Avenue study, I talked to Mitch Silver today. That study, the kickoff will be in the fall. It's lagged a little bit behind Capitol Boulevard, just not trying to overtax the planning staff as well as the CACs, et cetera. So they're currently involved in developing the scope of work for the project, which is essentially the work plan, and then the kickoff meeting again will be sometime in the fall.
Yeah, and the New Bern Avenue corridor, of course, involves a lot less redevelopment than Capitol Boulevard because you have so many established good land uses there, and the challenge is to try to get some of the ones that aren't doing well, like the shopping center, rolling. While Capitol Boulevard, not that you have to redo everything, but you have to sort of look back and see a whole lot of changes there to really make that successful. Yeah.
I don't know if the young man had been to the Wetlands Center off State Street, but that's
Right.
also a nice nature center, and it has a large dead area. So, and see it rebook or whatever, and also to the nature.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. The Wetlands Center over there off Peterson, there is a boardwalk that goes through a wetlands area. I guess the city-owned piece is maybe 60 or 70 acres. The whole piece, though, is about 230. So it's a big wetlands area. And there also is now a nature center there where they have some exhibits as well as conference space. But that's not too far from here, maybe a couple miles just south. Yeah.
Comment and a request, Mr. Mayor. Thinking of Capitol Boulevard, I think as you're aware, I've been very involved with that, working with Mac Paul and several. And we've attended all the meetings with the government stakeholders, the business owners, et cetera. A couple weeks ago, we had a meeting with the government stakeholders, which was 16 county, state, DOT, Department of Corrections, et cetera. And long-term, I think you're looking probably fairly substantial public investment in whether that be sewer, water, signage, roads, transportation, et cetera, as well as service to require private sector development. But that being the case, in July, I think we'll convene a meeting to discuss potential funding options, looking at federal, state, local funding options to fund all that. So a request being, and I don't know currently what the city's position is on tax increment financing, but a request that not be completely taken off the table, if that's a tool that can be utilized to spur some of that development.
Right.
Certainly, I'm not an expert in that, you are. I don't know exactly what the city's position is now, but a request that maybe could be a tool which could be utilized to spur development along Newbern and Captain.
In particular, if there are areas that don't have redevelopment going on, that's a potential tool. The other, quite frankly, is at some point in the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to need to have another transportation bond issue, and this would be one of the things we might look at to do that, because typically those bond issues involved widening of roads or extensions of roads in the suburbs, but now we're talking about redoing some of the things in the city. And actually, the projects we've done in the city have been smaller, but they've been really very successful. The first one was Glenwood South, and you can see how that area sort of blossomed. The second one is Fayetteville Street, and of course you all know what's happening there. And the third one now is Hillsborough Street near the NC State, which is under construction. It'll be done in about 60 days. We're hoping that's going to be successful too. So some of these sort of in-city streets that you redo and bring them up contemporary standards, then can sort of bring some of that private investment in behind, which has happened both on Glenwood South and Fayetteville Street. We hope it's going to happen on Hillsborough Street too. Yeah.
I have a question about food access, in particular in our part of town. I've noticed around town a lot of farmers markets starting up, which is wonderful, tend to be in more affluent areas, and I'm concerned about East Raleigh being pretty much a food desert when it comes to access to healthful foods. Do you know if the city or other entities have any plans to look into a farmers market or something like that?
Yeah, well, we're reviewing our ordinance on community gardening in terms of use of city property as well as use of private property, but that's a little bit different than what you're describing. This might be something that the CAC wants to think about possibly working on, about getting a farmer's market going. The challenge there, the farmers will come if there are enough customers, and the challenge is, will you get that community support? Will people come week in, week out to buy things? But that might be something either a community group or the CAC wanted to look at. The city itself is not taking the lead in sponsoring those, but we have tried to work with the groups that are doing that. There is the one downtown on Wednesday at noon. There's one, of course, at North Hills, and there are some others that are popping up around town. But I would encourage you to think about that as a project that you might want to consider trying to get organized, because certainly having local and fresh food is not just popular, but it's a really good idea. So, okay, any other questions or comments? I appreciate everyone. Yeah, yes.
I heard a rumor about 6 years ago that the creek that runs up and down Capitol Boulevard, that the city was thinking about reopening it and doing a river walk there. Is that true?
Well, that's one of the ideas that will be talked about in terms of the planning. And that goes right through that 18-acre site the city owns. There certainly has been discussions about having some sort of really small dams and trying to have something like the San Antonio Riverwalk. Whether that really will come to occur, I don't know. It may depend who ends up developing that. But that's certainly one of the ideas that's out there, and that's the kind of thing that will start being discussed on Thursday night. Yeah.
Just one more thing to that. At our government stakeholders meeting last week, we invited the Ecosystem Enhancement Program, EEP, which is part of DENR, and they when they do stream restoration projects, urban and rural, statewide, they have $250 million typically at any one point, and it's funded with a partnership from DENR, DOT, as well as the Corps of Engineers. So they were specifically invited to this meeting for the purpose of improving Pigeon House Creek. That's a severely degraded creek.
That's probably one of the most polluted creeks in Raleigh.
And the purpose was to plug them into the process early, so they're fully aware of the study and the potential improvements to Pigeon House Creek. That has to deal with Riverwalk issue, but it is water quality and part of the same creek that runs from Peace College all the way down to Crab Tree Creek.
Okay, additional questions or comments? Yes.
How far up or down New Bern Avenue is the school?
Well,
Is it going over any other streets besides Capitol? Would Raleigh Boulevard be one?
Yeah, well, the New Bern corridor will go from the downtown area out to Wake Med. It'll cover that. They don't have, I haven't seen the precise plan, but that's roughly the corridor they're looking at. And the Capitol Boulevard one is from Peace Street up to the Beltline, so we do have the on that. So they're fairly long pieces of highway. You know,
So Raleigh Boulevard would be included?
it'd be included in the one on New Bern, yes.
It would?
Yes, it'll go right across Raleigh Boulevard. Yeah.
Just that intersection there?
Right. Yes, it wouldn't go up and down Raleigh Boulevard,
No,
but
I'm saying up and down Raleigh Boulevard.
well, there's not a plan yet on Raleigh Boulevard. That's not yet in the work program. But the intersection of Raleigh Boulevard and New Bern will be looked at. Yes.
Can you give us an update on the schedule for the redevelopment of the east side of College Park on Maple Street and actually along Raleigh Boulevard?
I don't have the precise schedule on that. The city has acquired pretty much the properties it's going to acquire, and it's looking at having 2 or 3 developers probably go to work at once. The city owns 80 or 90 lots or houses in that area. I don't have the schedule on that to say it's going to start this fall or next spring, but it's getting pretty near the time that it will start being redeveloped. The area around Cook Street, of course, has been very successful, and that's gone very well. And the idea is to sort of move east from there and see if either rehab or new housing, we can't get sort of spreading of the Cook Street style.
So you're sort of thinking it's going to look like Cook Street?
Well, to the extent the houses can be renovated and preserved, they'll be the existing houses, and there'll be other houses of the Cook Street size that'll be filled in the vacant lots.
Well, that's great. I think all of us that live in College Park are looking forward to that.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
There are some things going on. I believe it's Dr. Silva and the new TV director. There was a hope working with them, some Habitat doing some things in the area, and the CAC does so. It seems to be coming together and community development is involved. There are a couple of stabilization grants that we're working on in that particular area. So it's really moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and the city funding is about to start moving from the Haywood and Hargett area over to College Park, so it's moving that way. Yeah.
Just a quick question about, I've noticed, especially now that the economic situation is not great for individuals wanting to buy homes, that the few homeowner homes left in my neighborhood are being sold to more landlords. And because we already have quite a few landlords that are not that great to begin with, the ones who are buying these are not much better. So I'm concerned, is there anything that the city can do to help preserve our neighborhoods and stop them from becoming just giant farms of rental homes?
Well, we can't really stop sales. We certainly do inspections and that kind of thing. What I would do, if you could, is to try to get some realtors to be marketing those homes. They ought to be worth more to single-family owners than they are to landlords. Again, I'm not sure exactly where you live, but as areas start to turn around, the single-family homes actually get to be worth more per square foot than the rental properties typically are sold at a fairly low rate. There certainly have been certain parts of this district where some younger families are moving in, and it's going pretty well. But I think in your area, if there's some way to get 1 or 2 of the bigger real estate firms to know that there are fairly reasonably priced houses available, so that when young couples come in and want to buy something at $150, $175, or $200, they've got something to look at. That might be the best approach. The city's not going to be able to stop a landlord from buying a property. We can inspect them if it's run down, that kind of thing. But I think that kind of action might be the best thing to do. You mind telling me what area you're in, just for Lockwood? Okay, so you're pretty nearby. Okay.
Are there any programs that the city does have to encourage first-time home buyers to buy in these areas?
Well, we have some second mortgage money, but typically on properties that the city has acquired and renovated, and not so much on private properties. James, do you think of anything on that? Community development might have anything? I'm not really aware of that per se.
Community development does have some programs for that particular purpose, but also the Raleigh Area Development Authority is looking at some ways to stabilize and deal with foreclosures, and that's a big problem. And that makes communities very unstable too.
Yeah. But homeownership really is important. If you have all the things in a community, if you have 20 or 25% homeownership, you're likely to have trouble in that neighborhood. If you've got 50, 60, 70% homeownership, then you're likely to have a pretty stable area. So that's a key factor in really having a good neighborhood. Okay, well, let me thanks for all your questions. I don't want to take all your time tonight, but I'm glad to be here and look forward to seeing you involved in the planning process as well as around the city. But thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here, and Councilor West, thank you for being here tonight, too. We appreciate your attendance. All right, well, let's see. I think we've covered all of our major agenda items here. Do we have, oh, I'm sorry, I guess we have another one? Yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely, yes, come on up. Ann Quarles has brought the principal of Powell Elementary here, who wants to say a few words about the school and everything. So, I'm sorry, what's your name again? I forgot. Chaz Miller, so please welcome him.
I'm way too tall for this podium, way too tall. I just want to introduce myself. I am the new principal of Powell, GT Magnet, and I was actually with this community as a teacher about 10 years ago at Powell. And it's an amazing community, and Ann, who's a teacher at our school, informed me of these meetings, and this is a great opportunity for me to get to know the community. And of course, as we all know, this partnership of the community and the school can do some amazing things. So I'm going to try to come to as many meetings as possible, and this is just great. Even tonight, I learned so many incredible things about the community, so this was really great. And speaking of which, we do have a clothing drive. Our PTA is sponsoring a clothing drive, and on Wednesday, you can drop off any gently used clothing at the school between 11 and 2, and then I think it's between 3 and 7. You can come by and just pick what clothes you want. It's a neat little clothing exchange, and we're going to look towards doing a lot more of that in the future, obviously, with the needs of the community and the needs in general with the economy the way it is. We're also going to look, it's great to see streaming video. We're going to look to do that as a school, and we will be pushing to get technology resources to our families of our school so they can access the school website, so they can access different streaming video and things like that. So we're going to put a big push with technology along with the things that they need, food and shelter and things like that that are rather obvious needs. So again, I appreciate you all allowing me to come to these meetings, and if you all have any kind of questions with things, please feel free to. I definitely won't be answering any school board questions, so please, but they are my boss. But if you have any questions about the school or regarding school activities, please feel free to call me at the school or contact the school, and I'm more than happy to talk to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Appreciate that. Let's see. There were 3 things I wanted to mention as far as important events that were coming up. Of course, tomorrow is the transition workshop that I mentioned earlier, and that's going to be held down at the Greystone Community Center, which is off of Lead Mine Road, 7713 Lead Mine Road. And once again, I'll leave this over at the table for you to look at if you want to get the details on that. Also, tomorrow is an election day, so it's probably off of everybody's radar, but don't forget to get out and vote tomorrow. That's very important. And of course, our Capitol Boulevard study is on Thursday at Bobby Murray Chevrolet at 6 o'clock, and pre-register if you can. Does anybody else have any other announcements before we, okay, I see Charlene. She's always a reliable source. You want to step up here, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Rebecca.
I need a neighbor of the month. I'm running out of friends of friends to interview, so if you have a neighbor who's even remotely interesting, please let me know.
Yes, neighbor of the month. We need to have some candidates, so if you've got anybody you know, please talk to Rebecca afterward. And Charlene, did you have something you wanted to mention? Oh, that's right, yes. We have some community grant money that we still have available used for CAC outreach, and we need to decide how we're going to use that money. So one thing that we kind of need to go over is the best way to allocate this money to various things. Of course, you know that we have the CAC signs that we've been using. We bought a pack of 25 of them last time. They've been very successful at getting the word out about our meetings. So one of the options we have is to buy more of those signs so that we have more that we can put out around the neighborhood. The other thing we mentioned is a calendar project that Pam Singleton of the CAC has been working on. She's a photographer and thought it would be a great way to promote the CAC to create calendars. So one of the other options we have for spending this money is to allocate that towards calendars to help spread the word about the CAC that way. Let's see, there was something else, wasn't there, Charlene? Did we ever decide what that was? Yes, we were talking about refrigerator magnets. I've found that to be very successful in some of the nonprofits I worked at. When you have a magnet stuck on your fridge, it's there at eye level, you see it all the time, you know, you can put your grocery receipts underneath it or something. They seem to stay on the refrigerator for a long time. I think I have some from like 15 or 20 years ago. You know, the businesses is already long gone out of business, but I still have the magnets. So we can check into seeing, you know, how much those cost and allocate our money towards that too. What is, let's see, anybody else have any other good ideas about promotion, marketing we can use this money for?
Bumper stickers or something of that, something to go in the car?
Yes, actually, that's something that that I thought of a while ago. Thank you for suggesting that, Jamie. Bumper stickers would be a great idea. And let's see, there was some emails I sent back in the winter and fall about maybe getting a logo created for the CAC. So that might also be something that we want to consider, offering a little money to help get a logo design for the CAC. And put it on the bumper stickers. That's right. We could double those up, you know, and get something even better. Yeah. So that's another option. At any rate, this needs to be something that the CAC agrees about, with, not just the leadership and community services. So I guess we need a motion to sort of go forward with these types of projects, unless anybody else has anything else they want to add, because we'd be happy to entertain. Yes, Gail.
Is this something that would also be incorporated into the informational packet for newcomers?
I think that would be another good use of the money. Sure, yeah, we could definitely integrate that. That's one thing that we've also been trying to work on. You know, it's been a while that we've been trying to organize an outreach committee. If we could get a couple of volunteers, you know, and it's not something that you would have to go to a meeting, you know, every month or whatever. But if we could get a couple people just to collaborate about ways that we could get the word out about the CAC, put together the newcomers packet that we've been talking about, so that people moving into the area know about the CAC and all the things that we can do. That would be a wonderful volunteer opportunity for, you know, just a handful of people. So if anybody's interested in doing that, please come talk to me. Please come talk to Charlene. It won't have to be difficult, but we just need to get started on it, put something down, and have something that we can hand out to people, and maybe, you know, drum up some more interest in our neighborhood, and help spread the word about the great things that we're doing here. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Yes. The sense of urgency here is because we have these funds that have been approved for this past year, and the fiscal year ends June 30th. So if we don't use that money by the 30th, then we lose it. And it makes sense to actually do something with it. So I don't know. How should we proceed? I guess we need a motion to, or how would you rank those? We're kind of flying blind here. It's about, what, $2,000 or something? So, I mean, So another pack of 25 signs would be about $500. I think that's pretty much what we spent on the last 25. And I don't know what it would cost to do the bumper stickers. You know, we can get some research on that, and we don't really have to nail down all the particulars tonight. If we can just kind of get an idea about what direction we should go in, and what do you think is the most valuable use of this money, I guess that would pretty much be sufficient. Yes.
Something in there you don't like, somebody can make a motion to, you know, vote for your side or whatever. And there's also the possibility that, you know, we can fund what we can, and then next year we could hopefully use our funds to continue down the line with the ideas that we've already started.
Sure, yeah, like design work for a bumper sticker, or magnets, or anything that we do. You know, once we get that done, then it's very easy to continue just reordering those. So that's something that we can do. Okay. Well, I'm not looking for a blank check here, but one thing, yeah.
We don't have a lot of detail on cost of the various items and priorities and such, so I'm not sure what kind of motion.
I guess we're really looking for some idea about what you consider to be the most important or the best use of this money, and it's kind of difficult, I guess, to put this into a motion form. Jamie, do you have something to say?
Question. I remember a discussion about the entrance signs, the landscaping around it needing to be kept up. Is this something that will aid? Do we need funds for that, and is this something that could be spent on that?
Well, I think that might actually be covered under the neighborhood grant, yeah, for Belvedere Park. So, yeah, that's a separate, that's a separate grant that's offered there, and I think that's actually going to do pretty well, but not so much a CAC thing. I saw your hand up, Andrew. You were just kind of waving a fly away, or okay, that's fine. All right. Yes, Gail.
Is there a decision of saying that we want to spend this money toward marketing and outreach?
Well, that's pretty much how the money needs to be spent. I think it's the stipulation that it has to go towards CAC promotion. So
we just need to make a motion to approve to spend the money?
yeah, we could just say, unless there's any objection, then we'll go ahead and take a vote on approving this. Yes?
Can we use the money instead of, I'm in the recycling business, so I don't like a lot of knickknacks and stuff. But can we use the money maybe to do something like help, I don't know, get the word out, or to do the streaming or something that's a little bit more substantial that will help kind of get the word out?
Sure, absolutely. Websites, streaming, all that would be acceptable under the grant. So we could certainly use money for that. Yes?
I was just going to suggest, why don't you do a motion to spend money, even if you're not saying the amount on each item, like a motion to spend on bumper stickers, a motion to spend on signs. That way, at least for each,
Okay.
you're having a consensus that people think it's a good idea to spend it on that.
Excellent, excellent idea. I think that's probably just what we'll do. Yes, Rebecca?
Can I make a suggestion that
Sure.
instead of bumper stickers, we do car magnets? Because I think people will be more willing to put a car magnet on their car than a bumper sticker.
Or window decals that you can peel off. Maybe that's another option, which might be good. We could do T-shirts too. I think that's, yeah. I don't know how far our money will go T-shirts, but certainly. Yeah, that's a good idea, Greg. Thanks. Greg is visiting from a different CAC, so yeah. But we're glad you're here, though. New blood, new ideas. We can always use that. Yes, Helen.
Maybe you should, as far as the signs go, get a feel for where you need signs. And how many signs would it take to do a good covering
Mm-hmm.
of ECAC? Because it's kind of huge, isn't it?
It is a big CAC, and there's a lot of traffic that goes through, and a lot of street corners that could use signs, and certainly a lot of neighbors who are willing to put those signs out. So we might decide that we want to get twice as many signs made this time around, or something. That would be a potential use. Okay, Jamie.
Can I make a motion to get at least as many signs as last time?
Okay. Well, what I was hoping to see is if we could get a motion for approval for spending money on signs, stickers. What else have we discussed here, Charlene? You keeping the list here? Calendars, magnets, logo development, websites, live streaming video. Okay, I guess that runs the gamut. Do I have a motion to cover those items that Charlene? Second. Okay. Do we have a second? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, sounds good. With that, we will go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry, Charlene has more. I was getting close to adjourning. Yes, okay. Charlene, one or a few more things.
Well, I'd like to announce that our Raleigh Neighborhood Exchange is occurring this year on September the 18th, and it's going to be at the McKinnon Center. I encourage everybody to come. I'm the coordinator this year, so I want to see everybody come.
That was Raleigh Neighborhood Exchange, September 18th.
Right.
Correct.
We're going to have like a bunch of sessions that you can choose your pick of two. We'll have breakfast, and then have a keynote speaker and luncheon. And one of the sessions, we are trying to get a lady from NOFO that has started a farmer's market in her community to come and speak on how she did that. We're going to have a segment on small business and neighborhoods and how you can support each other and help each other grow and develop. So that's one of the sessions. We're also going to have another session where we have some people that have come in. I'm trying to get Mark to do one on growing your neighborhood community watch, your association, your CAC, using some of the high-tech stuff like Mark does. We are looking to have Jason Gibbons. He's already said that he will do it. He's done a great job of Pleasant Ridge, Ramsgate Community Watch, and the District D Alliance, and lot of things in Southwest Raleigh. So that's another session. Let's see. We're going to have some things about affordable housing, city sponsored financial opportunities in housing. We're hoping to get some folks from Habitat, from Community Alternatives for supportive abodes, Passage Home, DHIC to come and speak about some of the developments that they are working with in the area. We'll have 2 sessions for teens, and we'll also have 2 Hispanic sessions. And we're also going to have a session on greening your neighborhood, where we're going to talk about community gardens, the farmer's market kind of thing, and let's see, there's one more thing on there. Anyway, I forget, but greening your neighborhood. We've got a community garden that's been done by Hillsborough CAC, and we will get folks from Hillsborough CAC to come and talk about how they got that going. So there's going to be a wonderful array of topics, and we will be putting that information in the newsletter and publicizing that real soon. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Also want to mention for next month's CAC meeting, the Raleigh Police Department will be back here again to do a follow-up community meeting to find out our concerns, do the whole DOT thing like we did in the fall. They want to see how well they've been doing, so we will devote most of our July meeting to doing that exercise with Raleigh Police. Yes, Councilor West.
Well, good evening, everybody. I hadn't planned to really say anything much, but Wallace Green, I would just mention, he walked in, and it might be a good topic that the CAC would be interested in, because he is looking at how we can do some economic development to make our underinvested areas much more vibrant. Wallace did some work with Longview and some of the owners, and we got a proposal from the council at the budget meeting that I think it would be fantastic in terms of how we can make our communities and our areas much more vibrant as it relates to economic development.
Excellent.
90 seconds.
Oh, sure. Come on up here, Mr. Green.
I'm Wallace Green with the Raleigh Area Development Authority. A few things I would mention. You asked about, had some concerns generally about community stabilization. We have a major contract, a grant from Wachovia to focus. This is free counseling services for anybody whose ownership situation is threatened. So there's free counseling there. We also are a HUD-funded counseling agency, so anyone that is concerned in any way, loss of a job, or somehow threatened with the ownership of their home, call us for free counseling services. We are also probably one of the larger contractors with the Commissioner of Banks on foreclosure mitigation, as bad as it is, and it's going to get worse. The state of North Carolina just received over $100 million in anticipation of the next wave, so to speak, of foreclosure in the fall and winter, and we are one of those providers. So if you know anyone who's gotten that first letter from a lender, encourage them to call the Commissioner of Banks. Those calls typically get referred to us, or you can have them contact us directly. We'd be happy to join any other activities. We also manage St. Augustine's College Neighborhood Stabilization Program for them, and so the homes that they're purchasing under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, we are involved with helping them to comply with the HUD requirements. So as Dr. West mentioned, we're part of, I think, a larger vision focused on how do you bring capital into underinvested areas. And as the mayor said, it's a good time for planning, so we've got a plan.
Just briefly mention the three initiatives that we have in front of the county.
3 initiatives include, as you know, qualified census areas are eligible under the New Market Tax Credit Program for below-market interest rate investments for mostly owner-occupied commercial real estate financing. So the city is supporting moving forward with an application for an allocation of tax credit financing that we would provide to developers and owner-occupied real estate owners for primarily commercial or mixed-use properties. The other is we're doing a best practices study. Raleigh is one of the only cities of its size in the country that really does not have a comprehensive and integrated economic development organization. And so we're going to look at what's going on within the state. Some of our peer cities, like Winston-Salem's got some interesting things going on, High Point and others. whether using bond funding. Someone mentioned, or the mayor mentioned, the mayor's of the city's second mortgage program. Well, the downside of that is that it runs out every year before the year's over. So it's underfunded, mostly because it comes out of community development block grant type financing. So we think there ought to be an ongoing, whenever you need it, just like you would go to a bank, not, well, you show up in June and it's all gone. But that money ought to be available to help stabilize and make sure we have an economically integrated community, even as many of these areas gentrify, so we can help stabilize those communities, make sure we have economically and racially diverse communities when it's all said and done. And then there's a small business program where we're looking to create a $10 million small business loan program. This will be for mostly existing small businesses that have somehow succeeded in the midst of the economy as it is, but now we're looking at how do we grow. And this fund primarily sponsors so far are Wachovia and Bank of America, and we are asking the city to help us to close that deal so that we can bring new capital for working capital and expansion, lines of credit for small businesses. So we're very excited about that. And the mayor's a good time for planning when we got a plan, and we're looking for the council's leadership to move that forward.
And it was started by the city.
Yes, the city started this program in 2003. So we're available to you, and we've got the website, www.raleigh-nc.com. And through your newsletter, we'd certainly like to let you know how to reach us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. Okay. As I mentioned, there are lots of events. Tomorrow is Election Day. Make sure you get out and vote. The transition workshop takes place tomorrow. Capitol Corridor Study takes place Thursday. And the Community Festival is in mid-August. And if you're interested in volunteering, please let me know. Any other business before we adjourn? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. All right. See you next month. Thank you.